Welcome back to Glaze's Geezer Garage. Sorry guys, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I put out a video. The biggest reason, had personal vacation, just a lot of things going on, content, had to catch up here. So what we're working on this week and what the video is going to be about is a final install of the drivetrain. So I go into a little bit more detail about setting up the clutch for the Trimix 5-speed and the install of that drivetrain. So hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for the video. What I'm doing now is replacing this standard input shaft bearing retainer on the Silver Sport TKO 5-speed that is used with a manual clutch to this bearing retainer that is used for a hydraulic throw-out bearing. So they tell you to tilt this transmission back because it's very critical that this input shaft not pull out, because if it does, there's roller bearings in there that come loose, and then you got to take the whole transmission apart, and we don't want to do that. So let's get started. Okay, I have the TKH 5-speed bearing retainer, the new one from SST installed. I got about a 1/1000th in-play clearance, which is the minimum, which is good though, and it turns freely like they said. When I did my measurements, I had to add a 1/4" spacer because the fingers of my clutch to the surface of the valve housing that mates this was 3 inches exactly. When I measured my throw-out bearing compressed with the 1/4" spacer in, I got a measurement of 2.75. So if you do the math, X minus Y equals the cushion. 3 inches minus 2.72 equals 0.28. And that worked out great because the range needs to be between 0.125 and 0.375. And I am I'm 0.275. I mean 0.28. Excuse the confusion. My measurement is 0.28, and it's got to be between 0.125 and 0.375. So I'm right in the middle, real good. One of the things I was a little confused on was how this particular hydraulic clutch works, because most conventional manual clutches, non-hydraulic clutches, the throw-out bearing rests back in this position, and then you mechanically push the clutch pedal and the linkage pushes this out into the pressure plate fingers. But this particular throw-out bearing, when you put the tranny in, it compresses in like this and rides right on the clutch fingers all the time, and then when you push the hydraulic clutch, there's enough pressure to push it out. So that's how that works. Didn't know that till I called Silver Sport Transmission and asked them that question. Does the throw-out bearing ride on a clutch all the time? And they said yes. I've set the dial indicator up to check how centered this hole is to the center of the crankshaft. And the way you do that is you get your setting anywhere here, start here, and you turn the engine around till you get your biggest difference, which is minus 18 thousandths, as you can see there. It just so happened I started here and the biggest difference was 18 thousandths directly 180 degrees across. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I got there. I'm going to turn this all the way around to show that I'm coming back to zero. I'm on zero right now. And you'll see as I get over to 180 degrees apart that I'm 6 thousandths off. So before I was 18 thousandths off. But the new number is 6 thousandths. So what I did was I went and purchased 7,000 offset dowels from Summit Racing. And now it is minus 6. So anyway, I didn't think it would be that much, but it is. Yeah, I do. So if you divide that in 2, you're 9 thousandths out. If you divide this in 2, it's a 6 thousandths difference. So that makes sense. So let me just turn this around so you guys can watch the gauge go. And you'll see it go to 6 thousandths. And then it'll go back to 0 when I do 360 degrees. And before it was 0, and it was minus 18 thousandths. So the 7 thousandths offset shims worked perfectly to get me to a 3 thousandths out of round, which the transmission shop says that 5 thousandths or under is good. So I'm well within that. So let's turn this around and I'll show you what I mean. So there's 90 degrees. You can see my dial moved about 3 thousandths. Let's put this thing at pretty close there. A little off. So I'm right there. And if you look real close, I'm between 6 and 7 thousandths off. Even if we call it 7 divided by 2, that's 4. So I'm well within the tolerance still. So let's go back around. Keep going. Another 90. You can see the gauge coming back. It's only 3 thousandths off now. And then if I come back down here, it should go to 0. We'll pass it a little bit. Okay, I'm right there and I'm at 0. So basically I'm 6 to 6.5 thousandths out. Divided by 2 is 3. At most 3.5. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. 3 to 3.5 thousandths off center is well within the tolerance of silver. I'm sorry, silver sport transmission parameters. So yeah, very happy with that. Looking good. So in conclusion, I am well within the tolerance of silver sport transmission, which is plus or minus, I should say, a total of 5 thousandths out of round. I'm at 3.5, which is well within the tolerance. I did that with 7 thousandths offset shims, and I pointed those to the 0 direction because I was at 18 here, I was 0 here, I gained 7 thousandths, so it makes sense. 18 divided by 2 is 9, 6 divided by 2 is 3, that's a difference of 6 thousandths, so those 7,000 shims worked well, is what I'm saying. So good deal. I'm ready to put this transmission in. I've installed the LS flywheel. I torqued the bolts to 74 foot-pounds in 3 stages. I think I went 30, 55, and then 74 actually. And I installed the starter, checked the starter for engagement. It looks good. Started the starter. Those are at 37 foot-pounds. I did that in 2 increments. I think I did it in 25 and then 37. I did use medium strength Loctite on the bolts that go into the crank because it also acts as a seal. So there's no oil that comes out. So that's what they said to use, Loctite medium strength. So I did. I'm going to install the pressure plate now. I have the pressure plate installed. I did these aftermarket bolts to 50 foot-pounds. Make sure that your pilot alignment tool is loose in there, not binding like that. Got to have a little wiggle each way. Comes in and out nicely. That means the shaft will too. I did use medium strength Loctite. So yeah, now we're ready to paint the bell housing and the transmission. That aluminum cast, which this engine is painted the same color aluminum cast, so it's going to look nice. Yeah, so let's get a move on here. I have the TKX 5-speed all taped off. I'm going to shoot it with this Duplicolor engine enamel. It's what they call cast aluminum coat. That's what the engine builder painted the engine with. I'm also going to paint the bell housing. Of course, I taped off all the machine mating surfaces. So yeah, try to get these painted this afternoon. Way I can get this drivetrain in there. What I've done here is I've cleaned up the Tremec 5-speed, taped it off, and I shot it with the Duplicolor aluminum cast paint to match my motor. I did it to my bell housing also, as you can see here. So all these components will match, and it should look real nice in this silver metal flake chassis. So really looking good. Let's get this thing together and get that drivetrain in there. I have the manifold gaskets all on, the manifold's torqued down. Transmission turned out real nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bell housing and the throwout bearing on the transmission per instructions from Silver Sport Transmission. Let's do this. First thing they tell you to do is put this boot in here. So let's see if we can get this boot in there. So far so good. Go. That went in relatively easy. I have the bell housing torqued in. I have the throwout bearing in there like they told me to put it. Now I'm going to get this tranny on there. I'm going to wheel it over to my gantry crane, make life easy for myself, and let that help me hoist it into there. Well, I got the motor and transmission in today into the chassis. Real happy with that. Looks great. Yep, real happy. Gonna start on the exhaust tomorrow. Looking good.
Hey, thanks for watching this week's video. I hope me installing the drivetrain helped you out some way. If you guys want more detail or have any questions, feel free to put me a little message down there. But remember, like, subscribe, and share. We're still trying to build our subscribers, trying to build our channel up a little bit more. Really enjoy that. The other thing too is I have some merch now. I have some t-shirts. If you guys are interested in purchasing those, let me know. I'll figure out a way to market those online. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot.